Hello and welcome to the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast. My name is Melyssa Allen, and I'm a double board certified lifestyle medicine coach who's dedicated to helping people drop the struggle around creating a healthy lifestyle that lasts. Join me for solo episodes and casual conversations with guest experts in the industry to discuss creating mindset and behavior changes that help you say hello to healthy living made easy, enjoyable, and empowering. Hey, y'all. I just wanted to pop on before we dive into this episode with Ashlee and remind you that the Changemaker Collective group coaching membership is still open through the end of March. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about, it focuses on behavior change to promote your health and provides a wonderful community of supportive changemakers. Head to healthylivingdoesn'thavetosuck.com/coaching. And the other thing that I wanted to share is March is still National Nutrition Month. And that's why I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation with Ashlee today. There are so many moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes, like this is exactly why I wanted to have her on the podcast. And you could definitely see why the work that her and I do are so aligned and why I'm so excited to have her as a registered dietitian within my network, because she's a wonderful referral source for me when I have clients who may need a little bit more one-on-one attention for their nutrition. And I know I haven't plugged this on the podcast before, but I do have a pretty cool resources page. So go to healthylivingdoesn'thavetosuck.com/resources, and you'll be able to find even some nutrition handouts from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine so that you can start focusing on ways to incorporate more healthful, nutritious, and delicious foods into your life. Okay, y'all, let's get to it. Welcome back, Changemakers. Wow, technology really has not been on my side today, but we just go with the flow, right? And I am so grateful to have my guest, Ashlee Wright, on today. She is the founder of Why Eat Wise. And as you'll be able to see from our conversation, you can understand why I wanted to have her on the podcast. And shout out to Megan for bringing us together, because we met working at the same hospital. And yeah, we were just on different teams and everything. But Ashlee, I'm so excited to welcome you to the podcast today.
Yay, I am so excited to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for our listeners who might not be connected with you yet, do you mind
hmm
sharing a little bit about yourself and your story and how you came to build your brand?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been a dietitian for almost 13 years, and I've been working mainly like in the outpatient space, counseling patients one on one for that whole time. So I love the relationships that I build with my people, and I have two daughters. And after I came back to my regular day job in a big healthcare system, after my second child, I was like sitting in an exam room with the door shut, trying to pump and, do all the things as a mom for the second time. And I had this moment where I was like, there's got to be something else.
Mhm.
And I'd always had kind of having my own business, my own practice in the back of my mind, but I never actually acted on it. So I think it was, becoming a mom just like changed everything for me. So I have been growing my business for about 2.5 years now. And I also saw where I was really like weight management's always been my focus throughout my career as a dietitian. But on my own, I didn't want that to be my focus anymore because I'm just really tired of women being so, mentally worn out from just getting on the freaking scale at 5:45 in the morning and all of that. And
So
just the
true.
yo-yo dieting, I'm over it. And I want to help women have a better relationship with food and foundation with it and not feel restricted and shameful about food anymore. So that's my mission on my own in Why Eat Wise. I don't want to just focus on the weight because it's about so much more than that.
Oh my gosh. Yes, preaching to the choir. And I love that there's more people like you starting on this movement to kind of
Hmm.
teach everyone how to ditch the scale because it's just not the most accurate measure of health, even though
Not.
we're constantly bombarded by it in healthcare.
Yes. Yes. Most definitely. Like BMI, all of that, like just throw it out the window. I'm tired of it.
Same,
Yeah.
girl, same.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's why I was so excited to have you on today. And I'd love to know a little bit more about kind of the meaning behind your business name, Why Eat Wise. So can you
Oh,
share with
yeah.
us a little bit about what brought you to come up with that business name?
Hmm. Yeah. So it's like kind of random story.
Those are
Anyway.
the best.
Yeah. So I wanted to be like, why eat something? Like, and I wasn't quite sure like what that was. So I had messaged my brother because he's a graphic designer and he's done some branding and things
Oh,
before. And so he was trying to help me brainstorm some names. And he sent me like this whole list because I tell him something and he just runs with it. It was this big long list of all these different names.
that's cool.
Um, and I saw YEYs on there and I was like, that could work. And he put that on there because so my grandma, when we were growing up, always had Y's potato chips in the cabinet. And um, it just like it made me think of her. I don't know why. And so my logo has a little clothespin in it, and she used to close it with a clothespin. So it all kind of ties together. Like the name and my logo are like an homage to my grandma, um, because she was like my favorite person ever. And
Love that.
yeah, it's like a tribute to her. And she lived her life how she wanted. Like jelly donuts were her favorite thing. Like she was the epitome of just like not caring what anybody else thought and doing life how she wanted to. So it's like a tribute to her. Yeah.
That is so cool, and I had no idea, so that
Yeah.
was really
Hmm.
neat to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
very
it's
cool.
special to me. Hmm.
Yeah, I can understand why, you kinda get to
Yeah.
to leave her a legacy through the work that you're doing and teaching
Yes.
people how to, do things their way in a way that works to live healthy, but still being able to enjoy your life.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yes.
And I'm gonna guess that that's what led you to develop your signature program, right?
Yep. You got it. Hmm.
Tell us a little bit more about Ditch the Damn Diet Academy.
Yeah, that name was just like that came into my it's one of those like aha moments, like, yes, that's what it's gonna
Chef's
be called.
kiss.
Like that
I just
it gives it yes, it's everything you need to know about it is in the name.
Mhm.
Uh, but I wanted to, I've been doing one-on-one coaching for quite a long time. And, with just doing one-on-ones, I can only get to so many people, So I really wanted to create more of a group program and course that people can work through on their own time, but also have support from me as well. So that's where, I had the idea to create Ditch the Damn Diet Academy. So it's a 4-week program and you get access to the course forever. So it kind of like walks you through things in 4 weeks, but then you can revisit the modules and all of that. But it's not only talking about, yes, there's some meal planning tips and
Yeah.
things you need to know about carbs, like the important things you need to know about all those things
Mhm.
that are actually true and not what you find on TikTok or whatever.
Right.
Um,
An
and
influencer
then
world.
yes, yeah, but there's also things about emotional eating and stress eating and your relationship with food and the scale. It's all like tools within that course to help you navigate those situations. And I'm always going to be adding things to it as time goes on. It's definitely going to evolve, but I wanted to do it because it's my way of getting my message out to the masses. So,
Right. And
yeah.
that's something that the world needs, right? And especially from a
Hmm.
dietitian because I'm sure that you face this too, but people have in their minds for some reason that if we have these credentials, we are like the perfect embodiment of
Yeah.
health and we're like
Yeah.
constantly judging people for what they're doing and it's like
Oh, I
actually no.
know. I
It's
know.
like I'm going to celebrate the
Hmm.
fact that you're enjoying a beer right now. Like sure, bottoms
Exactly.
up, baby.
Right. Yes. Like it, yeah, I always kind of put it as like sometimes when I tell people what I do, I feel like then I become like a priest behind the confessional thing. Because they're like,
Yes, everyone's confessing their
they're like,
sins.
"Oh," You don't want to know what I had for breakfast this morning. And I'm like, I don't really care what you had for breakfast this morning. You want to know what I had? Probably like a cheese stick and a banana and a extra large coffee running out the door. Like, I
Hmm.
don't do anything perfectly by any means. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I drink my craft beer and cheese is my favorite food. And if anybody ever told me to stop doing any of that, I would tell them
absolutely
F
not.
off. Like,
Yeah.
not happening. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That
Yeah.
part.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that's
Yeah.
what I appreciate so much about your content too, is like you truly just keep it real and you share,
Hmm.
like the struggles and hardships of not just motherhood, but just life in general, but especially
Yeah.
trying to find those ways to just even live a little bit healthier amongst the chaos of our lives.
Yes. Yes. Because you can just be, we're just so bombarded all the time with everything, not just, the nutrition things and
Oh,
the healthy and the fitness and all this stuff. It's everything all the
yep.
time. And, um, I actually just took like a little bit of a social media detox for a few weeks myself because I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I need to step away from it. It's just, there's so much coming out of our brains all the time. It's really hard to slow down
Yeah.
and just focus on like, all right, what's one thing I can do today to make me feel better, you know?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I know it's
mhm.
crazy to like actually pay attention to how much time social media takes up, and for you and I as business owners, like there is a purpose behind it, but it's hard
Right.
to balance that between like producing content versus the consuming content cuz right now
Yes.
I find myself stuck on the Taylor Swift conspiracy theory side of TikTok with like is she releasing like a double album like on Disney Plus like oh my gosh, it's a wormhole that I never expected to find myself in,
You
but
go
sometimes
down
I
them. Yeah.
sometimes I'm like,
Like,
"Whoa,
why do we
Melyssa."
care so much? Yeah.
It's wild, but I'm here for it. So, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of that to say, I appreciate that just show up as a real human being while still sharing
Oh,
very valuable information to your audience. And so I think that's kind of what I'd like to go into next is, what is
yeah.
something that you would love for the listeners of this podcast to walk away from listening and learning from you today? Or what are you most passionate about educating people on?
Mhm. Mhm. One of the things that I think, like, I feel myself talking about so often lately is just, like, think about how, like, you talk to yourself in terms of, like, if you said the things to yourself to your friend or your daughter, like, how would you feel about that?
Mm,
Like, none of us would ever say, like, "Oh, well, shoot, you didn't eat the lunch you planned today, so the day is shot. Well, screw it." Like, we wouldn't say those things to somebody else. So, I feel like so much of it is just we have to, like, turn around the language, and really catch ourselves in that moment and like, no, like everything is okay. Give yourself grace. You got to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So you don't want to be constantly,
truly.
beating yourself up over and over again. And we all do it, unfortunately. It's just, it takes a really conscious effort to, change that verbiage around food, especially because it's just been pounded into our heads. Like, you know,
Yeah.
don't eat the carbs or don't do this, don't do that. And it's like, no, like just leave all that behind and then don't go down the Google rabbit hole. Don't even look up things online anymore because you can just this is one other thing too that I've been talking to one of my other friends who's also a nutrition coach and has her own business
Uh-huh.
and like people they'll be doing well. We've noticed that they'll be making some consistent changes. And then somebody else says, oh, well, I've been doing this and this is working really well. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I should do that too. And then you kind of lose if you become like a little squirrel,
Yeah.
like it's easy to do that instead of being like, no, I'm gonna do what's been working for me and continue on that path. Thank
Mhm.
you for sharing, but I'm good. You know, it's just sometimes hard to not absorb what everybody else around you is doing too.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so important about working with people like you is because you have the credentials to really tailor people's approaches because there isn't a
Mhm.
one size fits all approach. And
No.
so, it's like one thing that, yeah, sure, that may have worked really well for Charlie, but if you try it yourself, it could backfire and maybe you'll gain weight. Like, who
Yeah.
truly knows? But that's why it's important to seek out knowledgeable professionals like you that have the
Mhm.
training to walk through that essentially.
Right. Most definitely. Yeah. everybody's got an opinion when it comes to food and nutrition. Everybody, you ask somebody like, oh yeah, do this. Oh yeah, do that. And you can spend all day talking about it, you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. So, when you find yourself kind of working with your clients and through Ditch the Damn Diet Academy, I love that you start with mindset because that's something that's in chapter 2 of Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck as well because it all kind of starts with how
Yeah.
we're thinking about the process. But what
Mhm.
are some of the things that maybe you ask your clients or you ask yourself to help them feel a little bit more empowered on their journey to making healthier nutritional choices?
Mhm. I think one thing that I ask is, how can you add something into what you're doing to improve it rather than what you're going to take away?
Oh, I love that.
Uh, because, diet culture is just constantly about the restriction, right? Where if you think about, all right, well, if I'm ordering pizza, let me add a salad to the pizza and eat less of the pizza instead of like saying, oh, well, pizza's bad for me and why am I doing this and blah, blah, blah. And then
Don't
you go
eat
down
pizza.
the yeah, then you
Don't.
go down the like the guilt and the shame trap again,
Yeah.
and so think about, because I get a lot of people that will, they have families like myself. I have a 7-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and they don't eat all the same things I do. I don't.
Mhm.
People think that I somehow miraculously get my kids to eat vegetables. Not always. And
Yeah.
but if they want like mac and cheese, I'll make them some mac and cheese and whatever fruit veggies that they'll actually eat.
Right.
And then I'll still have some mac and cheese, but I add more veggies to mine, so that way I'm not making multiple things for everybody all the time.
Yes.
You can make it work. So I think it puts it in a much more positive light to think about what you can add versus take away.
Yeah, I think that's so important to highlight to the feelings behind making those changes because if we're
Hmm.
trying to restrict and deprive ourselves of things and then we go down that guilt and shame rabbit hole, like the research shows that the more we bully ourselves, the less likely we are to sustain those changes over time, but it's for some
You
reason our
got it.
default go to. So
Hmm.
really, yeah, just trying to focus on those things that you can add in instead, I think helps support that mindset shift of being able to say, like, oh, look, I can still enjoy my mac and cheese and there's broccoli in it too. So good
Exactly.
job, self.
Exactly. Yeah. You can add some chicken in there for some extra protein. You can do things to the foods that you truly enjoy to make them healthier. You don't have to change them completely.
Yeah. And I something that I recently, this was over the last few years, but I'm actually participating as an attendee in the Full Plate Living program. And
Okay.
something that I really appreciate about that one is it just teaches you to kind of think about your portions on your plate differently too. So just like
Hmm.
you said, instead of really taking things out, just like maybe having less, like instead of
Right.
having, the big beefy meat and potatoes as the main star of the dish, maybe, it's like the supporting actor instead. And then you have, like different
Yeah.
vegetables and things like that, healthy
Yeah.
carbs. So,
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah, that's like what you just said is exactly what I say. Like with pasta, I'm like, instead of
oh,
making pasta
yes,
the main star of the meal, we make it the side dish. Yes, it's the act
yes,
one. It's just that little thing. So,
it's
um,
perfect.
yeah, so
See,
it's more like we're not stopping eating pasta because everybody's like, "Oh, pasta's bad for me." I'm like, "No, it is not. There's a
gosh,
place for it."
yes.
So it's just like I say with carbs especially because everybody's got carbophobia.
I know.
I always say it's quality and quantity with it. Those are the two things. If you keep the two cues in mind with your carbs, you're fine. If you're choosing better quality ones that give you more nutritional value, you're on the right track.
Right, because I think that's something people forget is our brains and our bodies do need carbs to function.
Yes,
Like,
they do.
carbs are not
Don't
the
talk to
villain
me if I
here.
don't eat them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I love
Mhm.
that because I think already offering, some of those ways to rethink how we're incorporating healthier foods into our life and adding them in versus trying to take away the bad stuff, which that's a whole other
Mhm.
tangent we could go down is like food is
Oh
not good
yeah.
or bad. Food
No,
is
it's
food.
not. No, it's not. It doesn't have morals. It's yes. Yeah.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
I think I'd love to, kind of segue from that into, what are
Mhm.
some of the things that you would encourage people to even just start taking those first steps towards making those
Mhm.
positive changes, and what kind of strategies can they maybe start exploring to help just get them started?
Yeah. Well, I think we're just breaking things down into just small chunks. Like what is it that you can do tomorrow? Like don't think about next week. Like I think everybody gets kind of focused on like, well, and especially with the weight loss, it's like, why? What happens when I hit a plateau? What do I do? I'm like, that hasn't happened yet. So let's not worry about that. We just got to worry about tomorrow,
Yes.
which is why I really don't want to focus on weight loss to begin with. So
Yeah.
it's one thing that I always try to start people off on, especially if they are weighing themselves every day, is like, we got to slowly wean down from doing that.
Mhm.
So if you're doing it every day, I know it's hard to just kind of put it away completely. But if you can go to every other day, then every third day, just try to do that or just get it out of sight. Because if you don't see it, then it might not prompt you as much.
Yeah.
Um, and just think about something that helps to, support your body. Think of things like the food is supporting you. And with the exercise piece, because like I know that gets overwhelming. If you can go for a 10-minute walk once a day, start there. We get it in our minds that, we should be doing things a certain way. And there is no certain way. It's just if you can move your body more tomorrow, then do it. If you can add an extra vegetable to your plate tomorrow, then do it. It's just I always kind of pick like one food goal, one exercise goal to start, and then that's it. We can't be making 10 goals and expect ourselves to achieve all of them.
Mhm. That was
Lower
something that
expectations.
right. Yes, lower expectations, take the
Mhm.
damn pressure off of yourself too, because
Mhm.
that was something that was really hard for me to unlearn. Was I loved being like the high achiever. And so I was like, let me set
Yeah.
all of these goals for myself and I'm going to crush all of them and I'm going to be perfect at achieving each and every step along the way. And
Uh-huh.
that boy, that does not happen on lifestyle change journeys because life is life in pretty hard sometimes.
Mhm. Yes,
And
it is.
yeah, you've got
Yeah.
to, like you said earlier, show yourself some grace. I love that phrase. Because it
Yeah.
helps us to tap into learning how to be more patient with ourselves through the process.
Mhm. Yeah, things are always gonna throw you off your game. It's gonna happen. And instead of letting something throw you off your game and let it throw you off indefinitely, just realize you're a human being and it's gonna happen and you gotta give yourself a little bit of time to get back in. No, and I don't like playing like fall off the wagon. I hate that. Like there's no wagon.
Right.
It's on
Yeah.
down the hill, push it down. Um, but things are you're never gonna be perfect with everything all the time. Embrace the wonkiness.
Oh,
That's
that's
how
so
it goes.
true.
Mhm.
Yeah, I recently heard
Mhm.
it phrased as like course correcting, where it's like,
Yeah,
okay, we may have gone off the path that we wanted to be on initially, but like all we need to do is kind of shift gears a little bit and we can get ourselves right back on the course that we wanted. Or maybe that wasn't the right course for us in the first place. And then you just course correct to a new path.
exactly. Yeah. And when you do get off course, think about what would you say to your best friend if the same thing happened, and then start there.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Treat yourself like you would a good friend. That is self
Yes,
compassion
ma'am.
101, and it's
I think
so
about like,
easily forgotten.
yeah, think about what I would say to my daughter. Like, would I say what I'm saying to myself to my daughter? No, I would not. So I don't want them to be, beating themselves up and doing all of that either. So
Yeah.
I think, people like you and I, we need to be on this mission to help the next generation to do a little better with all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the first time that I heard that thigh gap was making a comeback, I was like, absolutely not. Fucking
Oh
no. We are
God.
not going down this path again.
Oh my God. No. That's terrible. No.
And that like whole heroin chic, like, no, absolutely not. We're past that.
Mm-mm.
Like, there's no room
Mm-mm.
for that
No.
bullshit in our lives anymore.
No. No. We are real women. And no, like I popped out 2 kids. I ain't expecting to look like I did when I was 20. It's not happening. And it's okay. Mhm.
Exactly. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. Well, those are such great strategies for people to even start practicing kind of shifting those mental muscles around making these changes. Is like just treating yourself kindly through the process, lowering your
Mhm.
expectations, and being a little bit more realistic and just focusing on like one particular goal at a time and taking that big goal and breaking it back. And I have to share like G getting rid of my scale was one of the most liberating experiences, and it was
Yeah.
really hard for me because I had, relied on it for so long through different programs that are out there that, really preach
Mhm.
how important those numbers are that are reflected back at you. Um,
Mhm.
and it was one of those things where it was always in the back of my mind because anytime I was in my bathroom, my scale was right there staring back at me,
Right,
and
right.
now yeah, now it's like, "Okay, Melissa, like, we're here. There's some positive changes that we wanna make, so let's focus on those behaviors instead of that singular number that gets
Yes,
reflected back at
ma'am.
you."
Yeah, I say just, like, if it makes you feel better to take it out in the driveway, grab a sledgehammer, and just,
Damn, missed
have at
opportunity
it,
for me.
right?
Maybe I'll go buy
Yeah.
one just so I can,
Do it
like,
for if you know
cathartic.
somebody else is having a hard time getting rid of it, do it for them,
Yeah.
Just yes.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
absolutely.
That's so great. Well, I
Mhm.
I know we could keep going on forever in a day, but this I think has already been so valuable for everyone, and I would love for you to share like where can people connect with you? Is Ditch the Damn Diet open or when is it
Mhm.
coming up? So, yeah, let us
Yeah.
know where all the change makers can find you at.
Yeah, most definitely. So you can find me at whyeatwise.com. It's WHY, eatwise.com. And that's also my Instagram handle. So you can connect with me there at whyeatwise. So you can send me a DM, you can email me through my website. And I'm planning to launch the course again, probably like late April, I think is for, so hopefully that's my plan. I have a couple updates that I want to make. But if you go to my website, you can join my email list and I'll be updating everybody when it's coming back out then too. And I do take some private coaching clients at times as well. So you can always reach out to me about that too.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So, change makers, if you're looking to work with Ashlee, make sure that you go hit her up on all her socials and her website. And Ashlee, we've been wrapping up our guest episodes by asking,
Mhm.
how do you bring the healthy living doesn't have to suck message into your
Mhm.
life or into your work?
Oh, I bring that in all the time. Because it doesn't. Good, healthy food doesn't have to taste sucky. Exercise doesn't have to be sucky. It can be something that you enjoy to do. If you want to dance around your living room and that's your workout, do it. Like, do things that bring you joy. We need to do more things that bring us joy and make us feel good. And that's the bottom line.
Oh gosh, I love everyone's answers to this question so
Yeah.
much.
You got to
That's definitely
compile them all together. Yeah.
oh, that's a great idea. Oh, look at you with your marketing hat on. Yes,
Oh, yeah. You
absolutely.
got to do it. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, Ashlee, thank you so much for being here
Of
and spending this
course.
time with us today. And I am so grateful for you and all the work that you're doing. So we are just so awesomely appreciative of everything that you do in the world.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I so appreciate it.
All right. Well, change makers, I will catch you next time. But until then, keep it real, stay strong, and go kick some ass with your goals, y'all. I hope you all enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. And don't forget to grab your freebie with the wellness wheel at healthylivingdoesn'thavetosuck.com/wellness so you can get started on your changemaker journey today. As always, thanks so much for listening, Changemakers. And if you can please remember to head to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review, it will help this podcast reach other changemakers so they can start listening and tuning in each week. As a quick, friendly reminder, the information in these podcasts are always strictly for educational purposes only. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.